Hey guys, ILene Vick here for Adult Coloring with ILene Vick, and this is the second segment of my videos about how to put a drawing on top of an existing drawing. And as you know, I am working with Johanna Bosfort's Lost Ocean, The Circle of Fish. Here's the book, and this is the final piece as to what this is going to look like. You know this, but of course I'm just going to go ahead and show you. And in the previous video I went ahead and put the coral, the anchor, the octopus, the shell, the grass, and the seagrass, and the starfish. Okay, so due to the wonders of technology, I made a video on how to get your piece to this point, and thanks to electronics or YouTube or something, the file got corrupted and would not upload. So I'm having to rebroadcast and reshoot this video, which is fine, but I don't want to confuse you as to what I did. So by the time I had finished the video recording, I'd gotten it this far, which meant that the octopus was colored in. But of course I'm going to redo this for you so that you can see exactly how I got to this step. Alright, so I always keep backup pages, copies. I have been known to make copies of the pages, but this is for personal use only, and only for emergencies such as this. So the only difference between this sheet and this one, other than the fact that the octopus is not colored, is it obviously doesn't have these other stencil markings on it, because of course once I finish showing you the octopus I will go back to this proper sheet. Alright, so we're to the point now where we're going to go ahead and color in the octopus. But before I do that, I want to show you something, well, two things. The gray that I'll be using is my Faber-Castell, and the pencil number, let's see if we can get this to register, is number 232, and that is the cold gray 3. So just in case the video is not sharpening on this, focusing on this, that's what this is. And again, it's Faber-Castell. If I switch brands, of course, I'll let you know. Alright, so the last time that I'd left you doing this is we went ahead and we traced all the objects and we did it in pencil. Now, one option that you can do, and I'm going to leave it up to you as to whether you want to do this or not, is after you trace in pencil, you can go ahead and make your lines permanent and black, just like the drawing is on the colored page, or you can leave it in the pencil. Now, my finished piece, I had left it in the pencil. So these were all outlined in pencil and colored. I did not outline them in permanent ink. This one, however, I decided to outline in permanent ink so you can see the difference. And I'm going to leave it up to you how you want to do that. The pens that I use are the Staedtler pigment liners. They are 6 to a pack. There's 5 in this one because obviously I have the 6th one out. This is the smallest size. It's 0.05. And what I did is I simply went through and laid my stencil back down over the pencil drawing, and I went through and retraced the lines. Okay, so really that's all that was. Again, you can leave the pencil if you want, or you can go ahead and, I don't know how far along you are, if you're doing this step by step with me or just waiting to see the whole video series before you tackle your project, but just stop the video and go ahead and do these in the ink. Now, if you don't have the fine liners, which some people don't, or the pigment liners, excuse me, You can use the Pilot G2 pen, and I use size 0.0 or 07, that's called. Okay? Pilot G207. It's a great gel pen, great line density, and in fact, as I go to outline my circle on my redo, I'm going to show you how well the ink works. So, the overall circle is in pencil. My octopus is in ink, so I can show you the difference. So now all I'm going to do is match my line with the ink pen. And again, this is a simple Pilot G2. Nothing exotic. Now, don't worry if you don't hit your pencil line exact. The only thing now that you need to be concerned about is that you hit your fish as closely as possible, because of course now we don't have the luxury of being able to erase. So go from one fish to the other. If you make a little bloop, I just did, that's okay. We can work on hiding that when I go to color. There are ways to fix that. So don't panic if you make a mistake. And that's one consistent teaching that I've done with you. If you mess something up, there's always a way to fix it. So now I'm going right over the pencil. With my pen. And again, you don't necessarily have to go, 1 to 3 fish, just go fish to fish. And again, this is why whenever you're working in pencil, you want to do it very lightly, so that if you're going to end up erasing it, it doesn't become a hassle to erase. All right. So I've got my line. Now all I'm going to do is take my pencil eraser and gently let your ink dry a little bit, because you don't want to be smearing your ink while you're going through. Is gently erase your pencil line that you made all the way around. And then take your Staedtler brush, or whatever brand brush you have, I don't really care, and brush off the erasings. And there you go. Now, if you have any light lines like I do here, you can go back over it with your French curve. And if you have any little bumps like this, you can just carefully fill that in. And when we go to color, there's a way to get rid of any bumps that you have. So see, now you've got your line all the way around here. All right, so we've got that. Now I'm going to work on the octopus. Let me tilt my camera a little bit. And we're ready to go. And again, when I'm done, you're going to be seeing this. Here, let me pull that out. That's what your finished piece is going to end up looking like. Okay? All right. So, I have got my Faber-Castell Cold Gray 3, number 232 pencil. And I'm ready to color. Now, as I've told you in videos, when you go to color, you always want to do it lightly to start. And the reason you want to do that is, and I'm doing it in circles, hopefully you recall that as well, because if you color in straight lines, the human eye can pick that up easier than it can the circles. But the circles act like a blending mechanism. So I'm coloring in little circles. I'm coloring lightly, probably pressing maybe a 2 or a 3 out of 10, because when you color lightly, it gives you the option of going back over an area and making it a little bit darker. And there have been times where when I'm doing a project, I had thought that I wanted something dark, but because I listened to myself, I started doing it lightly, and I thought, oh man, I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm going to leave it light. I'm not going to go dark. And again, remember, with colored pencils, when you go over an area a second time or a third time or a fourth time, you are adding another layer of color. So be aware of that. And this is I love doing this part of the project because now I'm starting to see my shapes pop out. And I'm coloring right over the fish. I'm not looking at the fish that are on the bottom. I'm looking at the lines that I drew. And again, you don't want to go too heavily. And see, with this octopus, this is where you're going to start to see this little guy come out in your image. Sorry for bumping the camera. Move you forward a little bit. This is so much fun. I love seeing these images pop out when I'm doing a 3D like this. Again, I'm coloring lightly. And I'm coloring in little circles. And look how that gray, when you color, is starting to bring out the image underneath it. Isn't that neat? And then, of course, when you go back and color your fish, See this area here, we've got this part of the fish and this part of the fish here are going to be gray, but it's going to be whatever color I make it on the drawing. That's the fun part, to see the contrast of the color of the fish next to the gray, or whatever your object is, your grass, your shell, whatever the case may be. Little circles. Make sure that you are consistent with your shading. In other words, if you notice that the arm out here is a little bit darker, make sure you follow through with the rest of it. But again, don't press hard, because remember, we're going to be using a blender tool also as well. See how that's coming out? Cool. Let me pull back. There you go. Isn't that neat? And of course here's, as I spill my pencils, here's the one that I did on the actual page in the other video. So yeah, you can see how that's coming out. Isn't that cool? Alright. Little circles, and when your hand starts getting, although I should have done this earlier because you know me, when your hand starts going over previous pencil, you should be resting on paper towel, and actually you should be anyway, because you don't want the oil from your hand in the paper. My boo-boo. Now I'm doing some sweeps with the pencil. Obviously, sometimes you can't go in circles all the time, so I'm just doing some little sweeps to get on the outside there. Notice how I'm turning my image, because I'm right-handed and I like to keep that position for myself. Take your time. Now, I'm moving at a relatively, I don't want to say quick pace, but again, remember, I've done this several times. If you're slower, so what? Don't worry about it. Just stop the video as need be. And the other thing I want you to understand too, while you're learning from me, is you don't have to do it exactly the way that I do it. I'm just showing you a basic technique. If you find a better way that you can do it, that's fine. In other words, I'm doing this with ink. If you want to do it with pencil, that's fine. If you want to do it with colored ink, let's say you want to make your octopus pink, fine. Use a pink gel pen. Lots of ways to do this. I just want to teach you the basics so that you can launch from there and have fun. There are many, many ways to color, and as you get more confident, you'll learn them, and then you'll start, when you can start expanding into doing some really neat stuff on your own, then that's when you know that you're learning and you've got the techniques down. Okay, so there's my little guy colored in. Alright, So let me pull back out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to my other page for a second so you can see how that looks with all the other drawings. Look how cool that is. And it's funny because now with the octopus colored in, you can really start to see the other pieces. They're starting to pop because your eye sees this, and then your eye sees that, and then it's starting to see this stuff. So in other words, you're more focused on the shapes that are not fish than you are on the fish. So that's where you're starting to see it. That's the fun stuff. All right, so now what I'm going to do, here's a little technique for you because I'm going to blend this now, is I want you to turn your image upside down. And that way, in looking at that, your eye kind of argues with the fact that, you know, is it an octopus? Is it not an octopus? What is it? And by doing that, it lets you see more clearly what doesn't look right. So I'm going to take my blender pencil. And remember how I've always told you is take your pencil and wipe it off on white paper just before you're going to use it. See, look at all that crud that came off, that pink. I don't want pink on a gray octopus. Alright. So now I want you to watch what I'm going to start to do with the blending. Because see, I can see right here, look at, this is lighter. Let me move my light. This is lighter, this is darker. So, see, we've got some little blotchy areas that I want to fix. Alright, so I'm going to start over here. And I'm just very lightly, because remember, you're scrubbing the pencil into the paper. You're flattening out the tooth of the paper. Think of the tooth of a paper kind of like a steel scouring brush, sponge, and the more you use it, the more you wear down. So I'm taking my blender pencil. Oh yeah, I can really see the difference. Let me zoom you in here so you can see better. That's one thing you know about me. I'm not afraid to show you little details of my work and my little boo-boos. Okay, so see how smooth this area is right here because I just went over it, and see how rough this is right here. So this is lighter. Remember, when you blend, your pencil also gets a little lighter. So keep that in mind. So if you boo-boo and you're too dark in something, sometimes you can save yourself by blending it because it'll lighten it out. Let's make sure I'm on camera for you now that I've zoomed in. It looks like an elephant tusk, doesn't it? All right. And this is why it's really great to have a paper towel under your hand, because see, I can just glide my hand while I'm doing this. All right. Now, look how rough and spotty this head looks as compared to how smooth this looks here. That's what your blender pencil does. So, watch how this smooths out. Again, I'm not pressing hard. And the trick is, I'm not going like this up and down, right? I'm going in little circles, lightly, getting to my edges. Okay, let's go down and, oh, you won't be able to see that. Let me move. Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Nice and uniform. Move again. A couple of you have contacted me and told me that you had a little hard time with me moving my camera like I do. Well, I'm trying to minimize that, but the thing is, I want to show you as closely as possible what I'm doing, because especially you guys that are beginners, when you're kind of nervous about the coloring and you don't know what's going on, you want to see exactly what was done. So if the moving bothers you, just avert your eyes for the second or two that I'm moving around. Okay, so let me back up. There you go. Look how gorgeous that looks. Again, very lightly. Don't scrub, blend. Okay. Look how great that looks now. Smooth as a, what, baby's behind? Look at that. Now, again, I'm looking at this puppy upside down because I want to see where there are any potential color oopsies. And if I see any, then I will take my pencil. It looks pretty good. All right. Then I'll take my pencil and I'll just very, very lightly, in circles, go back over the blended area in those spots that I think are a little pale. Now, one thing to keep in mind, remember, you've got an image underneath here. Here's a circle right here, a fish. So be careful you don't mistake those for darker pencil. It is naturally going to look darker because it's ink underneath pencil. So the areas where there are no ink are going to be a little lighter, and in fact this is what makes the neat illusion, because you can see the image underneath. So as I'm adding pencil here, I'm being careful that I don't want to get as dark as the image. You want that image underneath to show, so keep that in mind, because that is the cool thing. So any color that we use, you don't want to get too dark. You just want uniform on top of the ink that's there and uniform on top of the ink that's not there, the areas that there's no ink. Okay, so I'm looking at that upside down so my eyes aren't tricked into following the natural outline of the octopus. Let me flip this little guy back over and check it from this direction. Oh, how cool is that? Looking good. Let me zero in on that a little bit. Yeah, see how smooth that looks? I love it. I see one little dark area in that upper tentacle, and it's not on top of the fish. So I'm going to lighten that a little bit by blending just a tad. Yeah. Okay. So I think we're in really good shape there. I'm getting to be about 30 minutes here. Let me move this. All right. So this was my corrective piece. So now that I've got my corrective piece to reshoot this video to that point, let me get rid of that for the moment. Now, this is the actual piece here. Okay? That's the one I did my original shoot on. So we've got all the stencils, we've got the octopus showing up, we've got the fish coming through. I'm going to turn this upside down so you can see what I was looking at to make sure that the color was uniform, which it is. Remember, I want uniform to, depending on what it's covering. If it's not covering anything, it's going to be a little lighter. If it's covering something, it's a little darker. But overall, it's uniform based on what it is or is not covering. That's why you're seeing little dark spots here. So you might think those are mistakes. No, they're not. They're the top of the fish that are, for lack of a better word, interfering with the image of the octopus. So they're supposed to be a little bit darker right there. I think you get my point. Let me zoom in on that. See? Looking good. All right, guys, that's it. We're at about 30 minutes here. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. Please give me a thumbs up if you like what I'm doing. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Again, this is part 2 of drawing an image on top of an image based on the Johanna Basford Lost Ocean. Let me show you my finished piece so you can see how it's going to look. It'll be a little different than this, of course, obviously, but you get the idea. And I hope you're having lots of fun. All right, guys, God bless. Thank you for joining me. Happy adult coloring.